Now, today we're going to look at the Mexico population and why I believe it's still on the declining path, although the numbers are still going up for them, for now at least. Now, if you don't know where the Mexico is, and you are around the world, and you can see it's pretty much south of the border of the United States. In my opinion, Mexico is not part of the North America. As you know, there are pretty much 7 continents, and in this part of the world there are 2, North America and South America. And when you think of North America, especially from the cultural point, there is pretty much a Spanish speaking country. It has to do with 500 years history, let's say, from the last 500 years, when most of the South America it's recognized as pretty much a Spanish or Portuguese colony, and some Dutch around a bit. But in my opinion, Mexico should be considered. Some people say Central America, which is fine, but like I said, there are 2 continents. I will consider it and put it in the South America. But and I will leave the Canada and United States, pretty much the biggest country, in the North America right now. There are some other things like I think Bahamas also included, but that's a different discussion. For now, we're going to talk about Mexico. If you didn't know where the Mexico is, we can see right now it's have opening to Gulf of America, or Gulf of the Mexico, formally recognized, and the Pacific Ocean, pretty much. You have some Guatemala border in the south, pretty much, and obviously the United States in the north border, and in the rest is pretty much a country which is on the geographic point. Let's look a bit, if you can have some image. It's pretty much a desert, but in the south of the Mexico you're gonna find a lot of green, so forest a lot. Now back to population, 131 million people. It's a lot. But let's look in the past a bit. In 1955, 32 million people. So not that much. But in 2025, you're going to have 131 million. So it's pretty much in the last 80 years, we have like 100 million people just pretty much appear there. And if you look at the migration numbers, in pretty much every single one of those, they are on minus. So people are still living there. So the population is multiplied exponentially, and people do not want to stay there. So that's just gonna say where those people live, because there are a lot of them, where they're living and why they're living. And pretty much everybody knows the answer, because they have a border with the United States, and everybody knows the United States is a much better place to live than Mexico. So now fertility rate 1955 6.7, which is insane. Can you imagine 6.7 in 1955? A lot. And now in 2025 it's gonna be 1.87. So actually below replacement. So they're going down, but the number still going up. Now you can see where they live. And urban area in 1955 was just under 50%. Now it's 88%. So a huge number just moved to the cities, and they live pretty much the desert uninhabitable. Now, let's say with a bit in the future, in 2030, in 5 years, it's going to be 136. By the 2050, it's going to be 148. So, not an increase, but not hugely one. And the fertility rate is going to go even down. Not much, but still down. 1.8, from 1.8 in 2030 to 1.7. Those are just governmental numbers. Like I say, I still believe they are much lower than this. But we will see probably in the future. Now, in 1955, the Mexico was ranking in a global population on the 16th place. 2025, they got up to the 11, and now in a near future in 2050 is going to be on 12. So they're actually going to go a bit down. What I'm interested again is median age. 1955 was 16.1, so very young country. In 2050 was 30 almost. So that means just pretty much double it, the median age. So people are going older and do not have that many kids, as we can see here with the fertility rate. So in conclusion, the population are going old. And in the 2050 is going to be 38.7. So even further than that. Then the next 25 years, they're going to add another 9 years easily. So that's another big issue that I can find that. But like I say, as long as they have that border United States, they can pretty much cross freely in the United States I don't know how much pressure the Mexican government is gonna have. But still, there are a lot of people, but they're getting older, and the younger one do not want to have that many kids, or actually they go below replacement, and the migration are still on the minus. So people are still leaving the country no matter what they're trying to do there. As the cities, the Mexico City is one of the biggest cities in the world with 12 million people. When you have a city that much bigger, and the rest of the country still have cities in the top 15 over 1 million, it just shows that trend that we can see here, that 80% of the 80 almost 90% of the people just living in the urban area, and by 2050 it's going to be pretty much 100%. I mean, over 97% that will be just living in the cities, and pretty much outside them in the countryside is going to be an empty desert, much emptier than it is today. So yeah, that was pretty much about Mexico, and the life expectancy is there. We have here that down in 2020, so I'm not gonna count that because of pandemic, but usually they stay on the incline trajectory. So the life there, the people are living longer. Both sexes are 75 years old, female 78, male 72. So not that much, actually, not that much of the difference between them, but still, they are, in my opinion, 75 years for both sexes is pretty much a good number. Now, like I said, from the future, the population they will go down. Especially, like I say, I still believe by 2050 they're gonna see a lot of countries actually go down. That in this table we're gonna show that it's still growing, because the yearly growing is so much lower with every single year, especially when you compare with the past. So even if you look at that in 1955, but okay, we're talking about different numbers, because this number is 2.79 is from this number, and this one is from this number. So, but it just shows a trend. Like we have 2.8% increase in population to 1955, but by 2050 is gonna be 0.23. So you already see a shift in how people, let's say, multiply it. That's pretty much, I think, the video about the Mexican population. If you live there, tell me how actually is the life there, and you see some differences, let's say, from your friends and family, and especially from your grandparents, when they obviously used to have like 6 children, and now the new families pretty much have like max 2, under 2, 1.8, let's say 2 people, 2 kids per woman, and some of them pretty much they're gonna have no kids. So if you live there, tell me more. Let's see how, if we can discuss the topic, because I think it's pretty interesting. You have that country that it's bordering the United States on the south, and we talked about yesterday about Canada, which is bordering on the north, and Canada and Mexico, they are completely two different countries, even by language, by culture, everything you can think of. I think is one of those extremes from north to south, and in between you have the United States. So let's see what we can do about this video, and see what's your opinion. What do you think is gonna be in Mexico in the next 25 years, and how it's gonna be by the end of the century?